Hi everyone, my name is Janette Dial and I'm from NetApp. I'm a partner manager from Nordics and my role is onboard and activate cloud partners across the Nordics on NetApp's data services and public cloud solutions. I hope you're doing well today. We start with the webinar going through the solution called Data Sense in more detail, and then we hop into the demo of the solution. I want to also encourage you to everyone to connect with me on LinkedIn or ask the Arrow team to make an introduction. I'm more than happy to walk you through Data Sense in more detail one-on-one meetings and also showcase you all of our data services solutions. But today we are talking about Data Sense, and I'm gonna give you a closer look what Data Sense actually does. This is how the customer's data looks like today. It's all over the place. No one has any sense of what is where, who has access, what we should do with the data before migration, after migration. Is the data compliant what we migrated 5 years ago? Or do we have credit card details up in the open for everyone? Does everyone has an access on files they shouldn't have? This is actually the situation today on customers' data. It's on-prem, on multiple public clouds. It's not really organized anywhere. We acquire companies, we just save data multiple times. We put private data on companies' storage systems. This is what is the reality is today on customers. And the worst thing is the data is actually increasing year by year, and it's actually driving cost up on every customer. So when we talk about Data Sense, it actually enables our customers to know which type of data is and where. Data Sense is the AI engine is running in the background, so it actually keeps the data safe and organized. It enables you to stay compliant, and Data Sense actually gives you suggestions to take action and be more secure with your data, and also be more compliant and drive the cost down. So this is actually how the Data Sense looks like. I know there might be net new partners to us, already partners who has some NetApp experience. But when it comes to Data Sense, it's your data compass across all the environments. You don't need to have any NetApp footprint at all, or you can have, but it's not necessary. It actually collects the information on public cloud, on premise. It looks on the structured data, unstructured data. It goes from blob storage to S3, different applications. So it actually is an MRI scan of your data. With that scan, you actually can tell the customer where the data is, what there is, and what needs to be done with it. And Data Sense is very has an automated tool, and like I mentioned, the AI engine is running in the background, and it does like the complete analysis of the data. It categorizes the data, it summarizes the data, and actually does a proper presentation of the key findings of the data estate. And with this automated report, every partner can go back to the customer and showcase report of the inside what's actually is in the environments. And that is how you can actually, if you're a managed service provider, you can design an action plan based on those findings, how you're going to help your customer to either get rid of the duplicated data, get rid of the personal data, get rid of the stalled data when nobody has been touching for 15 years. Yes, this is a normal case. We don't necessarily touch our data if there is data that has been there for 15 years. So there's a lot of things we can actually help our customers to stay more compliant and turning the cost down on public clouds, for example, or on premises. So this is the basic viewpoint of Data Sense. It basically gives you insights of the data and give action plan for the customer to be more compliant and cost efficient. So now you're probably thinking what, how, when, and how, where you should be using Data Sense. When we think about use cases for Data Sense, there's 4 clear ones, what I'm going to touch today. One is to optimize the storage uses. You can archive the stale data and tier it different systems, and you can identify and remove the duplications. So you don't need to just sell more storage to the customer. You can actually help the customer to understand and visualize how their data store look like. And this is actually really, really good when you actually do the migrations. 10 years ago, we did only lift and shift. Today, we want to do more like a clean migration. So we want to clean the environment before we migrated from the data from source to the destination. You can map the data and also identify sensitive data before moving to the cloud. Is this actually good to be? Is the data we are migrating GDPR compliant? These are the things you should ask before migration. And then one of the things that is on everyone's mind, that's security. Data Sense actually identifies open permissions, and it gives you the access to view who has the data ownership. One of my favorite examples from my career is in my previous company when I went to Microsoft Dell, when I was looking different kind of PowerPoints, and then I actually clicked through all the documents what my organization was doing, and I found compensation plans up in the open. And obviously these compensation plans shouldn't be there up in the open. So I pinged HR that like, hey, I found this, maybe we should take a closer look what is there available for everyone. So Data Sense actually uses AI in the background, and it learns which documents should be in different folders and who should have an access. So when you make rules on the data or the files, it actually learns, so you don't have to think about every time you save a file in your on your OneDrive and so on. And one of the things that Data Sense also helps organization is to maintain compliance. You can see that there is no PII, no social security numbers, no credit card numbers up in the open. Data Sense masked the data, but you can see the end, so you can actually see like you have some credit card details up in the open for whole organization. So there's a multiple use cases for Data Sense, how it actually helps put the cost down on the storage, but also like accelerate migrations to give a better view and strengthen security and maintain compliance across the company, also certain units of the company. And as I mentioned, you definitely don't need to be a NetApp partner from previously. You can only focus on M365 or Amazon S3. There's a multiple use cases for different systems or databases or storages. So these are the integrations what we support today. But please, if you have better ideas or more ideas what we should support, please let me know. More than happy to hear your feedback. But like I mentioned, you don't need to be an NetApp partner. And mostly our partners who use Data Sense are actually data partners, AI leads, or so on. So you don't need to have like a NetApp footprint from previously. So when we think about governing and securing enterprise data, today, and especially these days, organizations are facing and to increase or strengthening the governance in the data. This is one of the top priorities of the organizations because the data is just expanding year over year and no one has a great visibility what is and where. And compliance is very important on top of the agenda for CEOs. and also like where is the vulnerabilities on the environments. And as you probably understand much better than I do, the multi-cloud environment changes things very fast. Every organization probably has multiple environments, multiple public clouds, so it makes things complex. But with Data Sense, you can actually simplify your data work across the customers. So as we have been speaking a lot about compliance, I want to give you a few facts of the data landscape. Where do we have personal and sensitive data? I will show you in the tool shortly in the demo. We can actually classify the data according to the type. Like I mentioned, if it's a HR data, it goes directly to the HR file what we have created. And we can really easily demonstrate compliance within the tool, where we have maybe some things we should like focus on and making sure that our data estate is fully compliant. And the technical challenges, like I mentioned, the exponential growth in storage is massive. I was just speaking with one of the customers and he mentioned they get 400 terabytes increase of data every year. No one knows what to do with the data, if there been stale data. This was actually a university which mentioned that they have so much students who comes in, leaves, they have researchers, and nobody knows when the data was actually last touched and so on. So this is like a really important topic for not only enterprise customers, but also public customers. And as I mentioned, hybrid multi-cloud adoption increases the places we store the data, meaning it creates more work for you. So why should you use Data Sense, or why should you recommend for your customer? You gain visibility with Data Sense. With the automated reporting, we can give to you across the different environments for the customer. Actually is a great way to build a managed service around it and consulting. It helps your customer to stay secure, so there's no wrong permissions on the data. It helps the customer to save money when there is no duplicated files or stale data or non-business data. These days, people are mixing work and free time, so they might be storing movies on a company data space. So it's good to kind of see what actually there is in the company's cloud, or private or public cloud. And compliancy is obviously very important for every organization today. So what are the key differentiators of Data Sense? It actually have a natural language processing, NLP, and AI. It actually enables a complex PII and focusing on the data. And the Data Sense is designed to focus on across multiple clouds and on-premises and applications. You can customize very well. You can identify and add custom filters or identifiers, like you can add Swedish social security number or Danish car register number, whatever you need to actually look the data from your repository. And it actually lowers cost. There is no manual work needed that much because the tool does the work for you. It has a single pane of glass, which means that you have all the information in one place. It's super easy to install. It's agentless, and it just does the work for you across the data. So I think we should hop into the demo. I've been speaking a lot, but I will now hop in the demo side so you actually see how the data sense or Blue XP looks like. I hope you can still see my screen. I'm now in NetApp Blue XP, and you can, if you need an access to here, more than happy to give you one. We have all our public cloud solutions mainly in this portal. Today we are looking at data sense, as you know, but we have different solution here as well. Okay, now we are data sense. You can see here governance, compliance, investigation, classification, policies, and configurations. As a partner, you would, when you want to start a project, you would go first in the configuration. But as we are in demo, I'm starting with governance to showcase you what we could actually get in the real environment when you have done the configuration. Here you can see that we have 97 gigabytes of stale data, which means that nobody has been touching it for a long time. And when you click it through, you can see more like what has been, like where is the personal data, sensitive data, and data subjects. And if we go back to the governance, you can see that there's this much of non-business data, how many items, and what is the size of the non-business data. This can be movies, personal photos, whatever we actually store in the on our computers and OneDrives and whatnots. And this is very interesting, and I know I'm guilty also in the duplicated files. I do multiple duplicated files for just to be in safe side. But here you can actually, when you clean up these, you can actually save a lot of space in many cases. So this is like a saving opportunities to the customer, the first line. The data overview here gives the company really good overview that where the data is located. Here we can see this. There's some data in S3. There is some data on NetApp CVO. And here you can see the heat map. There's non-sensitive data, 21,000 items. There is personal data, 62,000 items. But then there's actually sensitive personal items, 12,000. So there's clearly something we need to do about some of these items that are in a CVO or file shares or S3. And here you can actually see under the governance on the permissions and also where the permissions are open. This is a very important thing what every organization should look at. How much data is actually open to the whole organization. It should be better to have it more like here, no open permissions, but you want just to be in the safe side where you actually have the permissions open when it's in your data. And many different, when you think about retention policies, the age of a data is very interesting aspect, especially in the Nordics, as we have so many different retention policies based on the customers. For example, if it's a Finnish customer and they have child-related data, the data needs to be saved like 15 years. If it's Norway and the data is financial data, it needs to be saved 20 years. But if you have a normal data, you can actually create like a retention policies, and then when the data is older, you can actually archive it. The solution tells you that you can actually do that, so you can actually create workflows to clean up the data storage across the different environment based on your needs or regulations and so on. So the data doesn't just grow all the time and drives the cost up. If we go to compliance then, which is one of the things all the customers are, looking at, we can see that there is 30% of the data is non-sensitive. 59% is personal data, and 11% is actually sensitive personal data. And what does it mean? The data has some ethnicity reference, or it has some medical information, what we shouldn't have up in the open to everybody, obviously. So we can have like a document which says Janette loves Finnish food, but we cannot say Janette is Finnish. So these kind of things needs to be cleaned up from the databases, and this is a very good checkpoint on every HR organization, what they have actually written and what kind of data they are keeping in their different systems. Here you can also see what kind of data categories there is. We can see that there's HR contracts, HR resumes. The file types are PDF and Word documents and so on. So there's a lot of different data what we can look through here. Then we can do an investigation, and you can see the open permissions, and you can create policies from this search. So basically, if you would like to have a policy that said, look for certain kind of a social security number, you could create a policy that looks for Swedish social security numbers, and then it would just like map those down all the time, or Norwegian, whatever you need. So you can create different kind of policies, and also if there is like let's say an HR folder, you want certain HR documents always going to that folder, the tool does it automatically, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. Then there's the classification settings, but there's so many things that you can use Data Sense for when it's governance, when it's prior migration, compliance, and I'm more than happy to work with you and run it through a couple of times and work on together on the customer cases who are looking, for example, Microsoft Copilot or migration projects or just staying compliant. So I hope you liked the Data Sense overview. Don't be a stranger. Connect with me on LinkedIn or just sending an email. It's janette.dial@netapp.com. And yeah, I'm more than happy to introduce you to our public cloud teams and how we can work together with the Arrow team on Data Sense. Yeah, thank you.